Hello everyone, my name is Mark Newman. I get a lot of questions from clients, especially when they first go into a business, as to why they have to pay GST even though the profit and loss is showing that they're not making any money. Or alternatively, they're showing a profit, but the GST seems to be a lot more than 1/10. So what I'm going to do is take you through an example of how I go through this with my clients. So what I've done firstly is to run the P&L, and I've written that up here on the board. So in this scenario, we've got sales of 200,000. Now these are excluding GST. Cost of sales, like materials, are 50,000. Subcontractors are 50. Wages and super are 50, and expenses are 50. Obviously, that shows that they're not making any profit within the business. So how can they could potentially end up with a GST bill? So on sales of 200,000, they would have had a $20,000 of GST charge, which is due to be paid to the ATO. On the materials, we're assuming that that's all got GST on that, therefore they're going to get $5,000 back while reducing their net GST. So at the moment we're 20 less the 5 on the materials. The next thing we're going to look at is contractors. Now the first thing we have to do is look at our contractor bills and say, are they registered for GST? Some contractors may not be registered for GST, i.e. they're small and just starting out in business, or alternatively they've chosen to stay below the $75,000 turnover and therefore don't have to register for GST. In this case, let's say half of our contractors are registered for GST and half aren't. That is 25,000 have charged as GST, therefore we're going to get $2,500 of GST back in this case. Wages and superannuation. There's never GST on wages or superannuation, hence there's no refund due on those. Expenses, for example leases, I'm going to in this case assume that they all include GST. Some don't, so just be careful when you're coding to make sure you're picking that up correctly. So again, we've got another $5,000 of expenses of GST on our expenses. Our total here is 5, 2.5, another 5 is $12,500 that we're due back on expenses. We've got our $20,000 on our sales, hence we're ending up with a $7,500 GST bill that is payable to the ATO, even though our profit is showing as 0. So that's just a quick calculation of how I go through it with clients. If you've got any questions about why your business may be paying GST, the first thing I always recommend is you run a detailed report from your software system showing line-by-line transactions and go through that in detail. That will give you a good understanding. Then, if you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out and I can go through these calculations with you for your business. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact. Thanks for listening. Mark Newman.